Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Joe Tyrrell and welcome to the Undercut, the GPblog podcast. Typhoon Hagibis wreaked havoc with the schedule at Suzuka. Ferrari locked out the front row on Sunday morning, but it was Valtteri Bottas who was victorious, helping Mercedes clinch the Constructors' Championship. Talking me through the early morning action is my esteemed panel of experts. We'll preview the Mexican Grand Prix, and my guests will go head-to-head in the hot take section. This is the 2019 season, episode 8.
Valtteri, it's James.
That's going to ruin the undercut attempt. The undercut.
Joining me this week, as usual, I've got Adam Newton and Nicolas Quarles. How are we doing, guys?
I'm doing pretty well. Not as tired as I thought I'd be.
Well, I'm struggling a little bit, to be fair. We're recording this on Sunday after the race, so I probably slept maybe 2 hours if I'm being generous. But, you know, I'm still buzzing to get stuck into this podcast.
We all braved the early morning start. Typhoon Hagibis made us get up at 2 a.m. for qualifying, didn't it?
Yeah, a very fractured night of sleep for me, and I don't think Nick got any sleep in the night anyway.
No, but, you know, I'm used to it at this point.
So, first thing in the morning, Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari take a surprise front row lockout. Vettel beats Leclerc in qualifying for the first time since Canada. But it was Mercedes who had the last laugh as Valtteri Bottas off the line took the lead of the race. And so it was his first win since Baku, so a good weekend for him.
A great weekend for Valtteri Bottas. I think he kind of deserved a race win after so long without one. He's had some good performances, but just not quite got the win that maybe his performances are warranted. So I'm really happy for him.
I mean, looking back on Saturday, as you said, it's very surprising 1-2 for Ferrari. They were, well, nowhere is maybe a bit harsh, but they were...
After FP2, they were 4th and 5th, weren't they?
Yeah, Verstappen even beat them in at the end of FP2, and obviously everyone kind of gave it a go and one lap pace in FP2 in case qualifying would have been called off. So to suddenly see them locking out the front row was extremely surprising, and I think it also sort of underlined the really good form that Vettel is in right now. Obviously, we'll touch on it now. He had a very unfortunate start to the race, but I think apart from that, Mattia Binotto said as well after the race, he drove, apart from that appalling start, and I know that's a big, you know,
really bad start.
Yeah, it's a big caveat, but he drove a really good race apart from that. I think, like, to keep Hamilton behind him for the last portion of the race, I think was quite impressive. But touching on Bottas, yeah, I'm also quite happy for him. He's been, you know, if you look at the results and you see he hasn't won a race in half the season, you think like, oh, it's classic, you know, 2018 submissive Bottas, but he's been really good in those races.
He's got a lot of podiums, more than you think.
He was really good in Russia as well. We said it on the last episode.
It's one of his favourite. Well, he's got some of his best results in Russia.
Yeah, but
didn't get the win. But
I mean, he was just lightning quick off the line, and he was
great start.
Yeah, he was so far clear already heading into turn 1. Obviously, Vettel had that appalling start.
Yeah, it's not the longest run into turn 1 in Japan. He was clear way before they reached the corner.
Well, Valtteri Bottas's win and Lewis Hamilton's third place, his podium, it helped Mercedes secure their 6th double in a row. They secured the Constructors' Championship. The Drivers' Championship can be secured for Hamilton next time out in Mexico. They're just utterly dominant in this era, aren't they?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. I often think back to the decision Hamilton made in 2012 to make the move to Mercedes.
Jump ship.
And what an absolute masterstroke that's turned out to be, you know. Mercedes have been by far the best team in every single season since the hybrid era came in, and it's no surprise that it's their 6th double. Only Hamilton or Bottas can win the title now, so it's a Constructors and Drivers double once again for them, which is hugely impressive. So well done to
congratulations, Mercedes. Yeah,
it's funny that Jenson Button on this week's F1 Beyond the Grid podcast, he quickly touched on Hamilton's decision to join Mercedes, and he compared it to himself joining Braun, and he said like Hamilton couldn't have known that Mercedes were going to be that good. So he was kind of like taking away credit in a sense from Hamilton. But yeah, Mercedes this era, it's just, they've been untouchable, haven't they?
Took a gamble and it paid off.
Yeah,
massively.
I mean, Ferrari last season, Vettel was obviously challenging Hamilton, but as a team, Ferrari were never close to challenging them really since 2014. So, credit to Mercedes. I don't know how long this is going to continue for. I don't see why it should stop after 2021. It's going to take quite a team and quite an effort to beat them, I think, in this current era.
Well, we'll talk more about Mercedes' dominance later in the show, but we'll talk more about the race. Vettel jump-started. According to the stewards, he didn't, because he didn't get penalised for it.
Well, they said he did, but he didn't gain an advantage from him, so they let him off, which I think is very...
I think it was within the FIA tolerance. He didn't activate the sensor or something.
Yeah, but it happened in Russia as well with Raikkonen, and he lost a lot of places as well, but he still got the drive for the penalty.
I think as Raikkonen went further, he went over his yellow line, whereas Vettel didn't. So that's why Vettel got away. It's weird, but it's one of those rules that you don't know exist until
technicality
it happens. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. It comes across a little bit inconsistent, I think. But yeah, Vettel, he said it himself after the race. He ruined his race before it even started, and Leclerc as well. His
Ferrari, the masters of their own downfall once again, really, weren't they?
Yeah.
We say it every week. We say Mercedes are clinical, and we say Ferrari create their own problems, and it's happened again.
This time the drivers create their own problems rather than the team.
Undid all their hard work as well.
Yeah, Leclerc, I think Verstappen in his anger, in his interviews after the race, he actually had a good point that Leclerc should have known that if you're right behind a car, you're gonna have more understeer, and he should have enough experience by now to know that. So for him to slide across the track and just shove Verstappen off and ending his race, and what could have been a very promising race, because
how angry were you when you saw Verstappen half spinning?
No. I was still on my coffee adrenaline
as a proud Dutch man.
Yeah, I was quite angry at Leclerc, because you could see straight after Verstappen, his car was just broken, and obviously they retired at 15 laps after. But yeah, at least Leclerc admitted it was his fault, and he apologized after the race and whatnot. But yeah, it's a shame as well for Honda fans, because Verstappen usually gets good results. He's been on P2, he's been on P3, hasn't won yet, but I don't think he would have won. But I think he definitely could have challenged. He could have been up there, and just a shame. Yeah, purely as a Dutch fan, I was, to be honest, I was a bit angry this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had it all going into that first corner, but it took the stewards quite some time to make their mind up, didn't it?
Yeah, weirdly, they originally announced that they wouldn't investigate the Leclerc-Verstappen thing, and then Verstappen got a bit angry over the radio and said, "Why are they not?
Yeah.
Why am I supposed to go?" And understandably, and then it
was clear as day.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those where you need to hear both sides of the story. It was clear as day.
Yeah.
Leclerc was understeering, rammed Verstappen off the track, and that's the end of the story. That's all she wrote. And as well, when he was basically just leaving debris all over the track. His mirror almost hit Hamilton, I think.
Yeah.
That's just
dangerous.
Leclerc
got 5 seconds for the actual incident, and then
10 seconds
for
staying
not
out.
pitting.
Yeah, and rightly so, I think, because it's genuinely dangerous with having carbon fiber parts flying around. We saw what happened to Massa in 2009. Obviously, it's a spring, and that's a heavier part. But if that mirror would have hit Hamilton, at
that speed.
Yeah, it was heading into the 130R, I think. They were going at serious speed. So I think it's a justified punishment. I just don't know why it took them so long to give it, because I don't think they would have pitted Leclerc for a second time if they would have known earlier. Because Leclerc basically took a free pit stop to get the fastest lap, which he didn't do in the end. But
the debris cost Lando Norris's race as well.
Yeah.
Some debris got
but you were
up
angry
inside
at that
his
one.
brake ducts, didn't they? You said?
Yeah. Up inside
I was angry at that one because he was in a decent position.
I remember during the commentary, I think it was Ted Kravitz said that his brakes were on fire. Norris went into the pits,
when
dropped
he came
right
into the
down,
pits,
and they said his brakes were on fire, and then two seconds later he's back out on track. So. But it did cost him his race, didn't it?
It cost him some good points, I think, because we saw how good Sainz was doing. Again,
we'll touch on him in a minute.
Third P5 of the season, I think, for Sainz. It's obviously, it must be gutting for for Norris to be, where did he finish? P12?
13th.
Out of the points,
13th, yeah.
You must say Sainz really is a smooth operator, isn't he?
No, genuinely, Sainz, he's impressing me more by each race.
Yeah, same.
Genuinely becomes such a good driver.
I think since around the French Grand Prix, I sort of started saying that McLaren is lightning off the line, and Sainz proved it once again.
I think Sainz is lightning off the line.
Yeah, and he was all over Hamilton.
Because Norris quite often struggles a bit coming off the line, but Sainz, maybe it's a Spanish thing because Alonso was sensational at starts as well. But Sainz was going at Hamilton in the first few corners.
Yeah, they actually touched on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, and after the race, Sainz said it was one of the best moments for him of the season, that he was matching Albon's pace and Leclerc's pace in his McLaren.
The only fault he could find with the race was Norris's disappointing result in the end, which shows how good that McLaren and him are doing.
Yeah, I'm running out of superlatives for Sainz. He's obviously after the summer break he had a little bit of a dip in form.
That was mostly mechanical though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but still, it couldn't have been for his confidence. But for him to come back the way he did, and it's incredible. It's to see where they were last season at the end of the season compared to where they are now. It's a good job all around.
It's lovely to see.
Adam absolutely loves it as a McLaren fan. But the rest of the race was all right. We had a bit between Hamilton and Vettel at the end, but we didn't have anything to.
I think it was
get the taste buds flowing.
I think it's again just like maybe Russia. If you're just looking at it as like a casual fan, wouldn't have been very excited by this race because there wasn't a lot of overtaking and stuff. But it was interesting to see, Hamilton struggling on his tires, having to pit for a second time, Bottas staying out longer. All these. I just love it when drivers who are competing with each other are on completely different strategies and just to see what works best. And I think this time the 2-stop was probably, in some cases, was the superior strategy. In some cases, it wasn't. I personally think even at this early hour, that was really interesting to watch. So for me, it was quite a good race. Obviously, at the end, you had Hamilton trying to overtake Vettel.
I still don't get why Hamilton came in.
His tires were just going.
Yeah, but Ricciardo did 30 laps at the start on those tires, and Hamilton,
Sainz did a long stint
if he
on
went
the
to the end, he'd have done 30 laps.
I think
do you not think it would have been worth Hamilton staying out? Because the worst he could have done was come third. Because
he had a free pit stop anyway, didn't he?
Albon was miles behind anyway.
I think they probably would have started it in the same way as in Hungary. That he was close, but they reckoned if they would have pitted and the pace they would gain from that would actually be an advantage in the end. I think they had that kind of thing in mind. But yeah, this time it just didn't pay off. But yeah, I mean, Hamilton really trying to force a smile with
he wasn't happy, was he?
He wasn't happy, and I felt almost a bit sorry for Bottas because they were really quite muted celebrations on the podium. Bottas was happy, but it was a bit tame. The celebrations. There wasn't loads of.
Hamilton was obviously not happy, and even though his team just won the championship, he was just a bit annoyed with his own performance. So I thought it was quite funny, and the whole Vettel defending from Hamilton is just cool to watch. Is Vettel going to crack under pressure? This time he defended brilliantly, I think.
Well, we had drama at the start, and we certainly had drama at the end. There was plenty of confusion when Perez crashed on the last lap, collided with Gasly, but we weren't quite sure at the start when the race ended, were we?
No, it appears. Well, it did end one lap early, due to a technical fault, was it?
Yeah, it's really weird.
They had to move all the
stewards
stuff,
literally just flagged them off a lap too early. They not like with a physical flag, but with like the little screens that also indicate the yellow flags and the safety cars and stuff. They got flagged off a lap too early, which is why their race had technically finished, which is why the crash technically didn't happen in the race. Perez keeps his P9, Gasly keeps his P8, and Stroll
misses out.
Misses out
so
on the P10.
Unfortunate for Stroll.
I mean, it's just 1 point, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, a point is a point.
Yeah, a point's a point. Can't argue with that.
I think they said it was because they had to move all of the, with the Typhoon.
They had to move all the equipment into a garage, didn't they?
So, but no, it was a weird one. But we'll move on to our winners and losers of the Japanese Grand Prix now. Nick, I'll come to you first. Who is your big winner?
I love to go a bit left field for these, and I think my
The
winners.
fans.
No, this time I won't go for a cheesy one, but I think the Williams mechanics for fixing Robert Kubica's car in 2 hours?
2.5
Yeah.
hours, 2 hours, yeah.
I mean, obviously it wasn't. He completely destroyed it in qualifying in Q1. In the first minute of Q1, he was finishing his outlap. He was on the final bend onto the main straight, 2 wheels on the grass, lost control, and just barreled into the wall. And the left side of his car was completely destroyed. And for the mechanics to fix it in that little time, that's
Well, Adam said to me at the time, well, that's him out of the race.
Yeah, I
Instantly
didn't
said,
think he would
That's
have-
him done.
No,
He
but
would've got to
those
the start.
Williams mechanics, they always have the quickest pit stops, and it's funny how the mechanical side of their team is actually unbelievable.
Incredible.
But the car is rubbish.
It's massive ups to the
well
Williams
done
crew.
to
It's that really is something that should be applauded, I think.
Adam, who is your winner this weekend?
My big winner this weekend is a certain Daniel Ricciardo.
He was a big loser last week, but this week turned it around.
He was a big loser.
He would have been
about-
if he was a big loser at 3 a.m.
about
wasn't he?
3 a.m. UK time. Yeah, qualified.
16th?
Not down Q1.
Yeah, not like Q1.
Qualified 16th, but
He had a
they
suspension issue.
Yeah.
started on the medium tyres, yellow compound tyres, and went long into the race, as I mentioned a second ago, and eventually came home P6 after Leclerc's penalty,
Yeah.
which is
Pretty
you know,
good going.
Gaining 10 places in any race is fantastic, let alone getting up to 6th place in a very solid haul of points for him. So
Yeah.
he'll be really happy with that result, I'm sure.
He himself said that he had his overtaking boots on.
He certainly did.
And no, but in general, Renault, Hülkenberg had
Hülkenberg.
issues during qualifying, mechanical issues. Ricciardo also had mechanical issues. For them to both finish in the points is quite impressive, obviously, even though Sainz finished 5th. So I don't think they actually gain any points on McLaren, do they, in the championship?
Was Hülkenberg 9th?
10th.
10th.
No, Sainz got McLaren will have one more then.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that. Ricciardo had a fantastic race.
Still, it's good for Ricciardo's driver's
just
position,
a-
I'm sure.
just a vintage Danny Rick performance.
Well, Adam, I'll stay with you. Ricciardo could have been a loser at 3 a.m., but come 8 a.m., who is your big loser? Who takes the L?
Haas take the L for me, unfortunately. Again,
Recurring theme.
a very recurring theme. I was very pleased to see Roman Grosjean in Q3 as a Grosjean fan, but
Head of the
also
Roman Grosjean fan club.
just to see Haas promising again. And I know they've been in
Promising.
they've been in Q3.
Roman Grosjean's been
No,
promising
but
since
Magnussen
quite
scored
regularly.
points.
Yeah,
last
Magnussen
race.
got points. Could this be a revival for Haas? But it just wasn't.
No.
And
Yeah, ahead of the weekend, Magnussen was saying that Suzuka fit their car quite well, like high-speed corners.
But he
and-
didn't get to find out properly because he binned it
Yeah.
in Q1 as well.
Yeah, he said he was embarrassed of that one, and
Yeah,
I'm sure it was.
yeah, it took like 20 minutes for Q1 to get underway before like an actual time
Didn't
got
even
set.
Q1.
Although I will say, I do think Grosjean is a massive winner for putting that Tyrrell 6-wheel P34 car.
Yeah, I really rated
Ticket,
that as
I
well.
really thought that was good.
What a way to spend your free time.
Everyone's playing FIFA and then
bowling, and he's in his
millennials.
room.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't surprise me that he's in his room
In his
using a
room with
model
his-
car.
gets with his glue.
his glue out.
Yeah.
Just
I bet he absolutely loved it.
Put it on his shelf.
Yeah.
on his bedside table.
Unfortunately, that's the only thing he'll be taking home from
Oh,
the Japanese Grand Prix this year.
nice.
It might be the only thing he takes home from the Japanese Grand Prix ever,
He's got a podium there
other than
back in his Lotus
Well,
days.
He's led the race there, you
Yeah.
know, in the past.
in recent
Know your history.
times.
You can't challenge this guy when it comes to history.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He's gonna,
When it comes to Grosjean facts, I'm on it.
yeah, he's gonna have you.
Adam gave Haas the L, but Nick, who is your loser?
I think you can't look past Alfa Romeo. It's
Another bad weekend for them.
I said them last week.
nowhere near the points again. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good for them that Giovinazzi has out-qualified Raikkonen again. I think it's 3 times in a row now where he's out-qualified Raikkonen. They started P11, P13, quite decent mini pole for Giovinazzi. Yeah,
I love it when you call it mini pole.
yeah, it's a good cliche, isn't it? But yeah, again, they weren't anywhere in the race. Unfortunate. I'd love to see that car more on the TV just because it looks so nice. But yeah, the race pace was nowhere. Giovinazzi and Raikkonen both just nowhere in the race, and concerning, especially for, I always have Fred Vasseur, and I hold him in quite high regard as a team principal, but something needs to change at Alpha, because this downward trajectory is quite concerning. Them and Haas are really starting to drift away in a negative sense from the rest of the midfield, I think.
I don't think it'll be the drivers changing though. I think Giovinazzi will probably stay there next year now.
Yeah, Vasseur has
praised him.
Praised him at like 3 consecutive weekends now. It's quite
I think
obvious.
Schumacher in 2021 is inevitable there.
Well, maybe.
Well, my winner goes to Pierre Gasly. Not that it matters, but got to Q3, qualified 9th, finished the race in P8. A pretty decent weekend for Pierre. But we'll move on to the Mexican Grand Prix now. 2 weeks' time, we get underway in Mexico. Nick, talk me through the... What's it called?
Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
There you go.
But who is Rodriguez?
The youngest ever Ferrari driver, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I know that one.
And his brother.
Yeah, and his brother. But Leclerc is the second youngest Ferrari driver ever after him. Yeah.
After Pedro Rodriguez.
Yeah, and he died or something, right?
Both of them died.
Yeah, on track, right? Yeah, okay. I know my facts on that
Rip.
one. But yeah, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, I should say in Spanish.
Lovely.
You got the accents on there.
I think it's a really cool track. It's unique because it's on a high altitude, meaning thinner air, meaning less downforce. But the track itself, I think, it has that really cool stadium section. That's
probably my favourite section in any F1 circuit.
it's really, I think it's really well thought of, because I think it's a former baseball stadium, which they converted into sort of an S now, or sort of chicane. But in general, the track starts with a very long straight, 3 corners, tight knit corners, another long straight, and then it gets really technical. So there's a really good balance between the first sector and a half, pretty much is just all straight line speed, and after that you get sort of like the S's at Suzuka into the stadium section. It's quite slow, it's quite high downforce, and it is I think one of my it's one of my favorite tracks. I think
it's a Red Bull track.
It's definitely a Red Bull track, but I think it's quite an underrated track, and I don't just love it because Verstappen's won the last 2 races there. I think it's genuinely a very, very cool track.
Well, Lewis Hamilton can win the Formula One Drivers' Championship for the 6th time in a fortnight's time in Mexico. But we'll take a little trip down memory lane to 2018. Max Verstappen took Daniel Ricciardo on lap 1. Ricciardo retired and famously said his car was cursed and he didn't see the point anymore. Did we enjoy the race last year, boys?
I will be totally honest, I don't remember it.
Adam doesn't remember it.
Nick
must remember
fondly
it.
Because Verstappen won. No, obviously on I think the Saturday was really cool because Verstappen was on to finally become the youngest pole sitter of all time, and Ricciardo edged him out by the tiniest margin. I don't remember what it exactly was, but it was like 5 thousandths of a second or something.
So Ricciardo's time was 1:14.759 and Max Verstappen's time was 1:14.785.
Exactly.
300s.
Yeah, and that was when that's something you hear in the intro of our podcast when you heard Ricciardo going, yeah. That's when he got pole position, because he'd had such a bad luck in recent races.
It was his 8th retirement of the year when he retired in the race.
Yeah, and he went from that high to then getting a mechanical DNF again.
It was late in the race as well. It was lap 61.
Yeah, and
was that the race where he actually damaged his vocal cords by screaming in the pit lane? You've seen that video where he goes,
yeah. I don't know if that was... No, I don't think that's the same.
One?
I think that's in Hungary or something.
Right.
But yeah, Verstappen was raging after qualifying because he knew for the 2nd time that year that should have been his pole position again, like in Monaco. But then in the race, Verstappen had a hell of a race. I think Hamilton only had to come 9th or 8th or something to become world champion. I remember him battling Alonso for a little bit. And... Hamilton won it. He became, obviously Vettel and Hamilton were who gets the 5.
Battle for 5.
Yeah, and when Hamilton won, Vettel showed really good sportsmanship. He went over to Hamilton. They had a long embrace and just mutual respect. That was a really cool moment, I think. But obviously Max won, so yay.
Well, enough about last year and Max Verstappen's victory. Lads, can I get your predictions? I want your pole position, your fastest lap, and your Grand Prix winner.
Max.
Nick is showing no bias there whatsoever.
Guess who's Dutch, eh? I'm gonna...
Alex Albon.
It's not going to be Alex Albon. Just shut up.
I did call Valtteri Bottas' victory this morning.
I'm
going
to give it to Ferrari. I think they might eventually have a weekend that's not a bit of a shambles. I reckon Sebastian Vettel's going to keep up his current form, get a win. I do think Max will come second.
Thanks.
I'll give him that. And I'll give Charles Leclerc P3. Hamilton not to quite win the title. He'll have to wait for
Hamilton has
the US
to get
Grand Prix.
The lowest Hamilton can finish is P3 if Bottas finishes 10th or lower. But any lower than P3 for Hamilton.
Okay, so he's got to get
he
a podium.
can't. So he's got to get
Well,
podium.
Hamilton loves Circuit of the Americas in Texas, so I'm sure he'll be happy to win it there.
Hasn't Hamilton won the last
two in Mexico?
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But that is their predictions. Give us your thoughts down in the comments below. But we will move on to the infamous hot take section. Well, lads, last week, controversially, I gave it to Nick. We debated Sebastian Vettel's future. But this week, we're going to be debating whether Mercedes this iteration of Mercedes, are they the greatest constructor of all time?
This era.
This era,
yeah.
Nick, you're going to be debating that they're not the greatest.
Definitely not.
Adam, you are going to debate whether they are the greatest.
I mean, they just are.
And Adam, you are going to go first this week.
Okie.
So you'll have 30 seconds. When the time is up, you'll hear this sound.
Stop it.
You have 30 seconds, Adam.
Can we turn the clock?
To debate that Mercedes are the greatest constructor of this era. Your time starts now.
All right, so since 2014, Mercedes have been the dominant team. 6 constructors titles, 6 drivers titles, 85 from 107 race wins. That is insane. From 2014 to 16, there were only 8 races Mercedes didn't win. You cannot say that Ferrari or whatever were better because they had challenges. Mercedes have had no challenge at all. They've been completely dominant. They have wiped the floor with every single other challenger that's come to them. Ferrari, Red Bull, Williams, whatever, they've been nowhere near.
Williams.
And that is your time up. Adam, for probably the first time ever, has actually got his entire argument into the 30 seconds.
Why do you talk about Williams? They were third in 14 and 15.
Yeah, I guess.
But they're not anymore.
No, they aren't.
They're definitely not anymore. They're not anymore.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Nick, you
It's a hot
have
take.
30 seconds to tell me that Mercedes aren't the greatest of all time, or the greatest of this era, sorry, and your time starts. Go.
Ferrari had 6 constructors championships in a row as well. I know they didn't get the 6 drivers in a row, but in 2004, Michael Schumacher won 13 of the 18 races. He won the championship in Belgium. How early in the season is that? He broke his own win record from 11 to 13 races. And they have so much competition on field. Kimi Räikkönen, Fernando Alonso, Mark Webber, David Coulthard, all these guys, and just wiped the floor with them. No competition.
Stop it.
Just in time. Nick rounds his argument off. Now, this is actually a really hard one, I'll be honest. Nick has a very valid point that Michael Schumacher won the...
Is that not an individual stat?
Won the
team stat?
I don't know.
Oh, because Bottas gets so many wins for Mercedes. You mean?
Yeah, all right. Well, Rosberg got a few. Come on.
Michael Schumacher did win the Formula 1 World Championship in
Belgium.
And he won
2004.
13 out of 18 races.
Yeah, it's the highest win percentage of all time.
Belgium was later in the calendar that year, though.
Yeah, that is true.
But
it sounds more impressive.
It does sound impressive.
But that was Michael Schumacher. Adam's Mercedes have won 6 constructors titles in a row.
So did Ferrari from 1990 to 2004.
And 6 drivers
This is
titles,
really
which Ferrari
hard.
didn't do.
Yeah.
No,
but you don't have to decide this on who you think is the better constructor. You have to decide on who had the better arguments.
Stop trying to sweet talk me, Nick.
No, but that is true. Like, Adam will back me up on that.
Yeah, it's who argued their point better.
This is
Even if we're saying that Charles Pic is a bigger F1 legend than Lewis Hamilton, if I argue it brilliantly, I win. Make your decision. Stop stalling.
This is probably the hardest one I've ever had to decide. But
Just say
I'm
it.
crumbling.
85 out of 107.
No.
The argument's done. Right, I'm giving it to Nick. The argument was done. Adam has shot himself in the foot there.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to Nick. I think it's... What is it now? Must be like...
4-3.
4-3 to Nick.
5-3.
5-3 to Nick.
Oh, I'm walking away with it.
Well, Adam
I
shot
can't
himself
believe
in the
you've
foot.
done that to me.
Nick leads 5-3 now in the championship.
Corruption.
Well, that's how it is. Adam can argue it, but that's how it is.
I can't argue that.
5-3. Let's move on to some questions from the crowd, from you guys. Right, so it's time for our questions from you guys. We've got a couple here. Our first one is from Matt Gretton. He says, thoughts on the 3-hour gap between quali and the race? Ignoring the time of day, Matt thought it was better. He's got an idea here. Have a reverse championship sprint race on the Saturday, then the usual qualifier on the Sunday, and then a 3-hour gap race on the Sunday. What are your thoughts?
I agreed with him until he started talking about the sprint race.
I like the reverse sprint race.
No, I think
it's cool.
It's a bit unnecessary. I think that'll be too gimmicky. I think, and it's not realistic either. It's not.
We aren't Formula E here.
I mean,
they don't do that in Formula E.
Well, they have gimmicks though.
True.
No, but it's not realistic though. But I do think that Daniel Ricciardo was arguing the same point, that having qualifying and racing on the same day and making the 3-day weekend a 2-way weekend, there is something to that. I think. It's I don't know. It's if you hurry it up a little bit, I think that can't do any harm.
But maybe would it put quite a lot of strain on the teams? You know, if someone has a big accident in qualifying,
like Kubica had today,
and they have a bit more damage than
job.
Kubica did, they're not going to get out for the race. I think that might be a bit.
Don't do it then.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's easy to say. But
no,
were you saying that when Max Verstappen binned it into the walls in Monaco? Just don't do it, Max.
Yeah, but he didn't get it fixed in time for qualifying.
Exactly.
So
imagine him not getting it fixed in time for the race. Surely that's a much harsher penalty
he
for
just
a crash.
got P9 anyway, so it wasn't very.
On a serious note, though, the sprint race has been a widely debated topic lately. What's your genuine thoughts on it? Do you like it?
Reverse sprint race or just a sprint? I think I don't think I've seen any driver saying they're in favor of it. Pretty much everyone, I think Vettel laughed it off. Hamilton laughed it off.
Marco called it absurd.
Yeah,
but what doesn't Marco call absurd?
Yeah, that's true.
No, no, I'm not a fan. I
don't see why not.
I am open to change in F1, but I don't think this is it, Chief.
I don't see why not. It would you offer less points for the sprint race, which is fair enough, and it would be I think it would be a very interesting spectacle.
Right, Adam, you are the F1 bosses. Well, you're not the F1 boss. You're the F1. You've been tasked with organising.
Am I Chase Carey?
You're like his little, his assistant that he gets to do everything.
Assistant to the regional manager.
So you've been tasked with organising and setting up the format for this sprint race. Give me how you do it.
Right,
days.
Well,
how do you set it up?
I will say, I think the way Formula 2 do it is really, really entertaining. They have a qualifying on a Friday, a long feature race on the Saturday, and then they reverse the top 8 for the sprint race, and only the top 8 score points. And I think it's a really good way of sort of keeping it fair, keeping the racing exciting. I like that system, which is maybe doing the whole championship order in reverse grid race is a bit too extreme.
But it's only going to make things more expensive as well. And the F1 are already trying to cut back on the cost of running a team. So I don't think that'll do us any favors. And as well, F1 is not like F2 where there's not half as many overtakes in F1 as in F2. I think it's more exciting in our heads than it will actually be on track. It's not that it will be, just overtakes
flying
in
anywhere. It won't solve all the problems, of course.
I just don't see it, honestly.
Well, Nick's not a fan. Adam's a fan. But let us know what you think. Would you like to see a sprint race in Formula 1? Let us know in the comments below, or let us know on Twitter. Bobby, bless his soul, is not here today, but he has sent us a question. Bottas very much seems like a confidence driver. Is there any chance he can catch Lewis? 64 points in it. And also, would Mercedes allow it?
No, and maybe. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't allow it.
Well, Hamilton himself said abruptly to Paul di Resta, we're allowed to battle.
Yeah, they've secured the constructors, so why not?
Yeah, and they've already secured that they're the top 2 drivers in the championship. Yeah. Or no, Bottas actually hasn't. But,
Bottas could fall, yeah.
But I don't see why. I mean, he's not going to catch Hamilton, let's be honest. I mean, Hamilton has the first and the second record for most consecutive points finishes. The first record is, he literally just looked it up. The first record is 33, and I think 29.
He's on 29.
And that's his current record. So Hamilton isn't the type of guy who might DNF. Hamilton's always going to get at least P4 or P5. So catching 64 points in 4 races just simply is not going to happen.
It's going to require some serious bad luck on Hamilton's part and some seriously good racing on Bottas' part.
Yeah.
So it's too much for me.
I can definitely see Bottas winning 1 or 2 races.
Make it his best ever season with Mercedes.
Yeah.
If he wins another race.
Yeah, he's on 3
I think
now.
he's already.
Isn't he?
I think he's already. He's
on
equaled his
3
race
now.
wins.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's already bettered his. Might have bettered his.
I mean,
I
this
think
is
well.
this is by far his best season because those 3 wins in 2017 came at the end when everything was already decided. But no, take nothing away from Bottas. He's a fantastic driver, and he's definitely, like Bobby said, a confidence driver. But so is half of the grid, I'd say. Like a driver like Romain Grosjean is unbelievable when he's feeling it, pretty much.
When he's in the groove.
Yeah, a lot of drivers are like that. But I'd say right now you'd have to fancy Bottas in the next race to be up there, or at least challenging or beating Hamilton.
But the title is a no-go. For sure.
I mean, 64 points in 4 races, that's just
too much. Unless
16 points per race, that is.
talk to me when he's taken 52 from the next 2 and Hamilton's taken 0, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Bobby, I hope that's answered your question. No is the answer. Bottas won't catch Lewis Hamilton, so a 6th title for Hamilton is inevitable. And our final question comes from none other than Brad Tomshaw. Lando Norris recently, has always disliked fish.
Sushi in particular.
Do you guys like sushi?
I love sushi.
I very much dislike sushi.
Doesn't surprise me at all from Adam. Adam's more of a steak and meat and free veg sort of guy.
3 veg. I mean
sushi, raw fish, sticky rice, bit of mayo.
Exactly.
Bit of mayo. I don't know about that one.
No, that's in the California roll, which is one of my favorite sushis.
Okay. I'll give
it's
you
not
that.
a traditional Japanese sushi, but yeah, no, I don't see why you shouldn't like sushi. It's
why would you want to eat raw fish? I mean, fish is slimy and...
Last week Adam gave a pretty hot take. He described pineapples on pizza as rat poison.
Yeah.
So I wonder what he has to say about sushi.
Well, I don't get why you'd eat soggy, wet, raw fish.
It's not wet.
It's
not like they get a fish out of the ocean and just
water.
It's slimy.
Chuck it on a
It's
bed of rice.
slimy, and then you put rice in it. It's all little bits. Give me a plate full of something I can dig into rather than just pick out little tiny
steak and
pieces.
chips.
Yeah, some mushy peas, just some chicken.
Out of curiosity, do you like cod and chips, like battered cod and fish and chips?
Yeah, I'll eat a battered fish and chips, but I won't eat raw fish. I just think that's wrong.
Wrong, Adam calls it. Nick likes it.
Morally wrong.
Morally wrong. And I feel like
unethical.
I feel like
morally, unethically, and disgracefully and completely wrong.
I feel like it would give me a disease or an illness. Not just an illness, which it wouldn't. But
sushi is unbelievable. It's a great food to share as well. It's a very social food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're half Spanish, so you love a bit of tapas.
I do.
Paella.
In England, we love my plate of food.
You
and
just
I'm
want
protect it.
both elbows on the table.
Yeah. I'm protecting this with my life. Don't you dare come near my plate.
Well, Brad, I hope that answers your question. And Lando, we hope you'll get over your phobia of sushi in particular soon. If you've got any questions for us, tweet us at it's GPblog. Tweet us at GPblog_com.
There you go.
And we will try and feature them in the next episode. But unfortunately, gentlemen, that is all we've got time for this week.
That's a real shame, Joe Tyrrell.
I think that's all we've got time for, isn't it? Yeah, that is.
That is all we have time for.
That is all we've got time for. Thank you for joining me again, lads.
Thank you for hosting.
It's no problem.
You can all go get some rest now.
Oh, thank you very much.
I had a nap, so I'm all right.
I'll be in a coma tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the Mexican Grand Prix.
Valtteri